Good morning, everyone. Our group is Justice for the People, and our group members are Jessica, Celina, and Tanaka. So, Justice for the People is where we support and allow those to voice their opinion and stand for their rights. The movement gives people the chance to be heard, and we stand by them by speaking up and to make sure that change does happen. We want every person to get involved with us to feel that they were treated fairly and they can see change within the justice system. Regarding how small the issue is, because the issue is only can only get bigger, and it is better to take it down while it's still on the rise.
Okay, so the indigenous community are distinct social and cultural groups that share collective ancestral ties to the lands and natural resources where they live, occupy, or from which they have been displaced. They are also referred to as First Nations, First Peoples, Aboriginal peoples, Native people, Inuit, and Métis. These are three distinct peoples with unique histories, language, cultural practices, and spiritual beliefs who have also been stripped of their culture in the earlier years by colonizers, sorry. According to an article on CBC News, it states Indigenous people make up about 32% of the federal prison population, despite accounting for less than 5% of the total population.
The purpose of our advocacy project is to bring light to and encourage change in regard to the current unjust treatment that we are seeing within the Indigenous community. As it stands, Indigenous people currently do not have the same access to rights that others do. For many, many years, the Indigenous community does not have the same right to education, protection from the law, clean water, as well as a safe and secure place to live. Section 7 of the Charter explicitly states that everybody has the right to life, liberty, and security of the person, and the right not to be deprived thereof, except in accordance with the principles of fundamental justice. This serves to prove that Indigenous people do have the rights that we have, and they should be getting those rights. As it stands, when looking into the treatments that Indigenous people are receiving, there are still 36 long-term drinking water advisories on reserves, including some that have been in place for over 25 years. This means that for over 25 years, there are some reserves in Indigenous communities that, up till this day, do not have access to clean drinking water, which is a necessity to living. Unjust treatments such as these are exactly why we are choosing to advocate for Indigenous people. The next thing that we will be discussing would be our project mission, values, and visions. As mentioned earlier on, for this project, we are advocating for Indigenous rights. So our mission at Justice for the People is to support and stand up for the rights of Indigenous people. Justice for the People is dedicated to the highest quality, where we support and allow those to voice their opinion and stand up for their rights. Delivered with boldness, poise, and strength, we stand for justice and equality and protection of one's rights. Justice for the People is a social and political movement group that seeks to highlight inequality, racism, and discrimination experienced by Indigenous people in a peaceful manner until we see the change that they need. Next will be our values. Our values are a set of principles by which we stand to achieve our mission. For this, we have 5 core principles of which we ensure to follow and learn from. The first one will be respect. We treat all people with respect to ensure the highest quality of fairness. The next one would be equality. We ensure that all individuals are treated equally to ensure that there will be no unjust treatments going on throughout our advocacy. The third one is impartiality. We do not discriminate against any nationality, race, religious beliefs, class, or political opinions. The fourth one is passion. We are passionate about making a positive change for the lives of people who are facing unjust treatments. And the fifth and final one is continuous learning. We strive to continue learning to constantly and effectively improve our education revolving around the struggles that Indigenous people face. As we are fighting for the rights of Indigenous people, these values are clearly related to our topic, as they aim to show that all Indigenous people that we work with will be treated like every other member of society, free of harsh judgments until we get them what they need. Next, we'll be talking about our vision. Our vision is a world where everybody gets the same access. This is our vision because we are aiming to help the Indigenous communities who are currently facing unjust treatments get the just treatments that they deserve. We are working towards getting Indigenous people the same rights and freedoms as other Canadians do, as they too are Canadians. As it can be seen, Indigenous people don't have the same rights to education, and that's something that we would be looking to change. So by making our vision a world where everybody gets equal access, it shows that our intentions are to help everybody get the same equality.
When looking at theoretical framework, we chose to look at the critical race theory. It's a theoretical framework developed in the 1980s. It helps us understand how structural race endure in our society and how it's engendered in our laws and policies. Critical race theorists hold that racism is inherent in the laws and legal institutions. And according to an article, it states social institutions, for example, the criminal justice system, education system, labor market, housing market, and even healthcare systems are laced with racism embedded in laws, regulations, rules, and procedures that lead to differential outcomes by race. It is seen that the criminal justice system in Canada is failing Indigenous people.
Next, we will be discussing why this project is important to our group. This project is important to us because as members of a visible minority group, we understand how it feels to not have the same access to things in society, such as from past experience, the right to education, the right to employment, and even now, as we are seeing, the right to the same laws as other Canadians when it comes time to deal with the judicial system. The unjust treatment that the Indigenous community are facing is a serious topic, and it's important to our group because we feel as though not a lot of people are speaking about it, and not a lot of people are trying to help. And with that being said, even if they're trying to help, not a lot of people know exactly what the issue is and what to do to help. So with this, we find it important to advocate for this group to make positive changes in the lives of the Indigenous communities.
When looking at community needs assessment with a reform educational and justice system, with public education for those in the justice system handling Indigenous people, a reform educational system for those in a justice or political standpoint on how to treat and care for the Indigenous community, changing the educational system to speak more about the Indigenous and the history and what is now happening can be helpful. It can spark something in many other students to want to help out the community as well. According to an article by Rudin, it states, for the justice systems to serve Indigenous people, it needs radical reforms, including Indigenous justice systems. This requires political will and funding. It is seen that there are a few resources for the Indigenous community, such as Healing of 7 Generations, which includes a service such as counseling, youth services, and court support. Anishwayo Wabi Health Toronto, which consists of services such as Aboriginal mental health and addiction services, traditional family services, and the Gan Hakwasara Family Assault Support Services, which service includes housing, shelter, and outreach services, my mistake, and community counseling and educational training.
When it comes to enhancing our vision for social justice related causes, we enhance our vision by making sure every single member of the Indigenous community is treated with fairness and with access to equal resources within the justice system. Our vision, we can at least start to tackle them down as the issue arises in the social justice and to start to make change as we work slowly. Our approach can be used for any Indigenous related social justice issues and can also be used for any issues that are going on around us. The two aspects of our work that was challenging was getting the information together and doing our research on the topic. We had to work together to overcome these issues, which was hard because we all had work schedules that were different, and because of this we had ideas all over the place and people didn't really know who was talking about which and what was going on. We just had to work around it and basically kept a strong communication between each member to make sure the work got done. Another aspect of our work that was challenging was engaging within the group. The issue was a big problem at first. We had our when we had our meetings. So we would just all sit in silence basically, and because we were all strangers to each other, we did not know like how to start the convo, and it was just awkward. We just met this semester and we had to break the ice and try to work together. We overcame this problem by having small conversations, talking about our day and what we did before. And yeah, we would just ask each other basically like how their day went and have a little laugh before we get into our work. And that's how we all got comfortable with each other and we got our work done and out of the way. So how you can get involved? Anybody can get involved. We accept anybody to come in and help. To get involved, just really just take the time to read our brochure and educate people around you about what is going on around us within the communities. You can also share with your friends and family, and also tell them about what we do and how we do it. Um, you can also look up for more information. You could call this number at 1-800-555-3225 for more information. And we also have a social media page on all platforms. It could be Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, you name it. We have it all. And yeah, and always remember, use our hashtag justice for the people. Thank you for listening to our presentation.